To preface this by saying that these are all my opinions and my perspective. This is my personal perspective on my reality, and I am 18 and I am legally responsible for anything I say, only me, about this conversation and these are all my opinions, my story, so take it everything with a grain of salt. The reason I'm sharing this is because if there's at least one person out there, like if I had seen something like this when I was struggling in December, it might have inspired me or helped me know what to do next. So, yeah, take it as you may. Hello to everyone on this Sunday afternoon. I am here to give you a life update because it's been a while and there have been a lot of things going on, and there we go. Take two. So, hi everyone. It's been a minute since I spoke with you all. The last time that I published something on YouTube was actually yesterday, but that was from March like 15th, March to 22nd, something like that. And it has been April, May. It's been 2 full months. It is May 22nd today at 12:34 p.m. Central Time. And a lot has happened since then. I got all of my college decisions back. I'm looking to put together a college decision reaction video soon. And I have my plans finalized for this summer. As of literally 10 minutes ago, I confirmed them. And not even, like 2 minutes ago, I submitted the paperwork finally. And so, yeah, there's just a lot that's been going on. So this is kind of a mix of like a life update and then also kind of what happened this year, what happened academically, what are my thoughts on school, on life, on everything. And so, yeah, I just want this to be like a chill update because there's been a lot going on. I'm just going to give you a whole rundown of what happened. So I've always been a super motivated and high-achieving person since I was young. And I think part of that is to be attributed that I grew up and I started in a big public high school. And so it didn't take a ton. It definitely took work and determination to be towards the top of my class. But relative to other high schools or like private schools or schools with more competition, my high school and like elementary and middle school were all a little bit less competitive than other schools. So I think naturally I kind of floated towards the top early on. And then the validation from doing well in school kind of drove me. And it was like this cycle that like I continued all the way up through high school. And I think the peak of this was sophomore year. I still didn't really realize or know internally why I was working so hard, why I was putting in all the effort, but I loved the praise and the satisfaction and the validation I got from working really hard. And I think I was obsessed with it. I loved it. I loved doing as good as I possibly could and working really hard. There's just something in me that really enjoyed that. And so, sophomore year, I took 4 AP classes. Everyone was like, that's crazy, that's insane, don't do that. You're gonna burn yourself out. No one's ever done that before. Or like, not, I didn't know of any sophomores at Armstrong who were doing that at the time. And I had only heard of like 1 or 2, probably in Armstrong history, who had done that. So that was kind of like my first big leap and like kind of like, this is what I'm doing. I'm going for this. I'm just going to shoot my shot. I did that. And I skied that winter too. And I trained that fall really hard. And I ended up making it to junior nationals. And I ended up getting all 4s and 5s on my AP tests, which was crazy. Like, that was just crazy. It was a stressful year, I will say that. But I did it, and my mental health was relatively sane. I was okay, like, that whole year, pretty much. Okay, so, sophomore year, we get done with sophomore year. I go to junior nationals. I got all my AP scores back, got 4s and 5s. It was a great year, and then COVID happened. And honestly, for me, I didn't really experience COVID until this year, like the effects of it, like the big mental and emotional and physical effects of COVID until this year. So sophomore year, I was doing great. I met one of my best friends, probably my best friend for the past like 3 years. She's been with me this whole time. Mila, I met her in March, like that year, junior nationals, and I hung out with her all summer. It was a great summer. We had L&R camps. We had L&R. It was just a great summer. And then golf season was canceled that spring too. So I was mainly just ski training pretty much the whole summer. And then that summer too, I worked a crazy amount. I made $10,000 that summer. I worked the most I'd ever worked. I was working a lot. And it was a crazy summer, but really good. And so coming into junior year, this is like a big overview of just like my whole academic career, high school career. So junior year, I again took really hard classes. At this point, I was convinced that I would have 2 years done at the U of M by the time I started college. So junior year, Sophia wanted to start college at the U of M basically as a junior, so I could be done in 2 years and go get a PhD. That's what she wanted to do at the time. That's not what I want to do now, but at the time. And so I decided that I was going to take really hard classes again. Junior year, I think I took 4, 5. I had chem, physics, math, Calc BC, AP Lit, and I was thinking about doing both physics tests. So that was like 4 or 5 AP classes, I guess you could say. And then I took political philosophy and then a biomedical engineering seminar that fall. Those were all the classes I was taking. And so that was pretty crazy. I remember that year is when our school was completely online. So I ended up going to Yellowstone with Margaret and Margot and Isaac, and then some other people came, Jordan Cooper, with Margot's family. And that was really fun. We were there for a month. I think that might have been one of the first times where I was able to just like sit back and like think about life and think about what I was doing academically and what I wanted to do going forward and like what was it all for. And that was a really good time. It made me think and process. And then I think following that, like that winter was really turbulent, like me emotionally and with my family. I went through a lot of thinking and a lot of processing and a lot of thinking like, are these the beliefs that I want? Yes, my parents believe them. And yes, they're not forcing, but like kind of pushing them on me. Do I want to take that or do I want to go my own way? Or like, what do I believe here? Like, what are my goals in life and my visions and what do I truly think? How do I want to live my life, basically, is kind of what I had to confront junior year. And so that winter was really turbulent in my family. And I think that's kind of when I started emotionally and like mentally thinking like, okay, what's going on here? And so the more I thought about it, I really would go down these rabbit holes where I would kind of like pick a topic, like what's the point of life? And then I would just dig down into that and try and come up with an answer. And it might have taken me like a couple weeks to do it. Like I was really, really thinking about what's the point of me being here? What is my life? Like, what's the purpose? What's going on? And at the same time, I was working really hard in school and sports too. So junior year, last year, I did cross country in the fall. That was good because I got to connect with people at school. And then I did Nordic in the winter, and that was really fun. I had Roger and Leif last season. That was fun. And then, or 2 seasons ago, I guess. And then in the spring, I did golf, and I made it to state in golf, which is really crazy because I was not expecting that. And then prom, too, last year was great. The prom itself, the dance was in the cafeteria, kind of bad, but the whole experience, going to Forest Lake prom at the Mall of America, sneaking in, that was really fun. And just, like, ski friends, skiing, those relationships were at an all-time high last year, like junior year. We were skating, like, every week. We were just like doing lots of fun things. And so it was a great time, junior year. There was a lot of thinking going on too. And so then, senior spring, sitting in chemistry class one day, I didn't really realize how influential like this moment would be to this entire year. But I think it was Matthew Shapiro. I was sitting, so Ava, Alex Jarek, Matthew Shapiro, and I were all in a lab group for chem. And Matthew was like, you and Ava could run for class president, or like, I don't know how it got brought up. And so then Ava and I were like, okay, let's do it. Like, might as well. And so we ran for class president at the time. Now it's student body president because we've kind of transitioned the role into more of like a overarching role throughout the whole school. But yeah, we ran for class president. We got it. It was crazy. It was a really stressful 2 weeks. I didn't know if we were going to get it. And then we got it. And that's been so influential this year. Like a lot of, I'd say like 50% of the things I've done this year at least relate to that role in itself. Like everything I'm doing in the school right now. Like the podcast, Armstrong Speaks. The whole student council, like trying to like change the whole application process to make it more equitable, working with the equity department, working with admin, like working with students, like when the sexual assault thing happened this fall, hearing their voices, and then like communicating with admin and saying, this is not what the student body wants right now. Like this is what the student body wants. This is not what they want. And kind of just like working as a liaison. I don't know that word. I don't know how to say it, but like tying every part of the school together in a sense that makes it more of a community, kind of, is what our role is. And so I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot. I'm a better leader. I'm a better communicator. I've experienced a lot of conflict, and it's just been like a really good year for me, evolving as a person. But okay, so go back to like the end of last year. End of last year was amazing. This past summer was crazy in the sense that I was doing so many different things, and I had all these moving parts and pieces and so many different goals. And like, I think I totaled it up at one point, but I was only home or doing like, only did 1 full week of L&R, I think, the whole summer. Like I had other stuff going on every single week of the rest of the summer where I wasn't at L&R for 1 full week. So, or for the full week. So last summer was crazy. And I think I kind of came like crashing down last summer in August, before the Boundary Waters trip with Carson, Christy, and my mom. I just like, my body just kind of shut down. And it does this. It knows kind of when I'm sick and when I've reached a point, and it just kind of shuts down. And so that was August, and that was kind of a highlight, like forecast into what this year would bring, because this year only got crazier. And so this fall, I continued down my path of trying to get 2 years done at the U. And I thought about this a lot, and I could go back to all my notes and what I was thinking. But basically, my rationale at the time was I really wanted to go to Harvard, because Harvard had skiing, Harvard had the academics, it had the connections, it had the community, it had kind of like everything I wanted in a college, and it was affordable, because they have really, really good financial aid. So at the time, Harvard was my top choice. And 3% acceptance rate, crazy stuff here. Like, was it realistic? I don't know. I didn't get in. But what I will say is at the time, that's what I wanted. And in my mind at the time, when I talked to my counselor, I said, I want to go to Harvard. Am I taking the right classes? And I was taking BME 2501, BME 2401. So these are both sophomore level biomedical engineering classes, programming and cellular and molecular biology. And then I was taking multivariable calculus, which is another sophomore class, and general chemistry 2, because I had gotten a 3 on the chemistry AP test, not a 5 or a 4, so I couldn't pass out of both of those. I wanted to do organic chemistry originally. I don't know what I was thinking. Crazy classes here. As well as managing everything at high school, because I was doing environmental club, chess club I had started at the time, Armstrong Media. We were trying to like somehow have a coherent group. That was a whole nother thing this fall. That was drama, and then I'm trying to think. Just, yeah, like student body president stuff. There was stuff every day almost at that point that we were doing. And so all these things going on, these hard classes, and I was stressed out. But I said, if I want to go to Harvard, what classes should I be taking? That was basically my rationale. Was it a good, sound rationale and logic? Debatable. But I just continued in these classes because I thought that was my only choice at this point. And so I'm still trying to do all these classes, all of these other things, and then we hit homecoming week. And I think this week was a week where I realized how much I was doing. Like, I was waking up, I think at 3:30 to do my lab reports for BME 2501. Like, I think I woke up Tuesday morning, probably, at 3:30 a.m., worked from 3:30 until, I think my lab was at like 8, so probably until 3:30 till 7, finished my lab report. And by the way, I was doing really well in these lab reports. Like, I was scoring, like, I was the top. If this is like the chart, and like the top is like 92, and like the low is like 60, and the average is like 80, I was like 92. Like, I love this class. This is my favorite class. And like, just like the hands-on work at the lab, I loved it. So I was putting in so much work into these lab reports, and then still trying to study for my other classes. Like programming, I was trying my best. I was doing the assignments. I was really lost because I had no clue what was going on. I didn't understand programming when I first took this class. Now I've taken intro to Python, intro to computer science, and I understand coding a lot more than I did at that point. But and then calculus, I was doing okay. I'd say I understood most of it. I probably would have finished with like a B minus. I don't think I would have gotten a C plus, but potentially. I probably would have gotten like a B minus and then in chemistry, probably the same thing. I was probably sitting around a B minus at the time. So I wasn't doing terrible. Like I would have been fine. I would have not kept my 4.0, which was also in my mind very much a priority at the time. And so I had all these unrealistic standards that I had for myself at this point, like, but it was what it was. So back to homecoming week, it was crazy. I was waking up super early. I was probably going to bed at like 10 or 11 because there was just so much going on. I had homework. I had all these events. We had powder puff practices. I had like sections for cross country was that week too. We had the dance. We had the football game. There's just a lot going on. And I helped try and set up most of the decorations for the dance. That was a big deal, or a big job too. I had to go to like Home Depot the day before and anyways, you get the point. It was a busy week. And then right after that, so like I think it was Saturday morning, we left for Boston because I visited Harvard and got a tour from the coach of like Harvard and the area, and I loved it so much. But then that was amazing. It just like, it really did inspire me. Like, I think part of me was like, now I have something I can grab onto. Like, this is what I see. This is what I want. And then I kept even a stronger grip on that the whole year because I was like, this is what I could have. And I wanted it so badly. And so basically right when I got back, I got really sick. I got basically like bronchitis. My lungs were completely filled. They didn't like officially call it bronchitis, but I got bronchitis 2 years ago and it was very similar. And I was in bed. My throat hurt really bad. I couldn't speak. I couldn't like talk. I was mucusy. I was phlegmy. I couldn't breathe. It was it was terrible. I was in my bed probably for an entire week, just like laying in bed, sleeping. And I had steroids for that whole week. And then that wasn't enough. So then they put me on antibiotics too. So I had steroids and antibiotics. I was basically out for 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of November, because we got back on Sunday and it was Halloween. That's when we got back from Harvard. And so it was just a crazy 2 weeks. I got really behind in my classes. I was really stressed out. I ended up dropping out of 2 of my classes, biomedical engineering, the programming and cellular and molecular biology. And I did actually have a conversation with my programming professor about it, and he gave some good advice. And he's basically like, you don't need this class. Why are you, like, this is going to hurt you more than it's going to help you. And so I agreed, and I dropped out of that class. And then cellular and molecular biology, I dropped out of that. I didn't really know. I had never talked to the professor before, and he was a little bit scary. We had just actually switched. So there was one professor for the first half of the semester and a different one for the second half. And we had just switched into like the new professor, and I kind of just told him like everything that had happened in an email, but then I just like ended up dropping out. And the part I was most sad about was the lab, because that was like really fun. I really enjoyed the lab, and my lab mates were very great. I loved them too. And I think I ended up missing one lab because one was online because of COVID potentially. And then the last one I think I missed. So I did like 6 out of 8 labs, maybe 7. I think we had like 8. I missed the last one. Anyways. So, and then I emailed my TA and like explained the situation, said I was dropping out, so he knew too, and he was a great TA. So at this point I was still in chemistry, still in calc. It's like mid-November, and I think our finals were like mid to late December. So I kind of had like a month to try and get it together. But I think, yeah, decisions for Harvard came out on the 16th, I want to say. And then the end of November and start of December was just me trying to survive, like I don't even have a ton of memories from that time period. I just know it was really stressful. I know I was stressed. And there was just a lot going on with skiing too, because we had, I want to say the first JNQs were like the 2 weeks into, I went to Canada. Actually, that's what happened. We were supposed to go to Yellowstone over Thanksgiving, and that didn't happen. So then some people from LNR decided to go to Canada, to Thunder Bay to ski. And huge shout out to Inga Wing and Geneva and Tove and Erica and Susan as well. All of you helped me get to Canada, and that was really fun. And I'm really, really grateful for that, because that's my last trip with LNR. That will have been my last trip with LNR, and it was really fun. And it was just really cool to see like a different perspective. Like even just being with a different family for like 2 or 3 days was just, gave me a lot of perspective into like my own life and my choices after college or after high school, and like what I can do and what I'm capable of. And that was really cool. And kind of the whole experience too, like I decided that I wanted to try and go to Canada probably like 24 hours before I crossed the border into Canada. Like it was crazy. That was crazy. But anyways, we did that. I skied on snow. That was really cool. And then got back, and then, yeah, I want to say our first 2 J&Q weekends were like the start of December. And I think at this point I was just really overwhelmed and stressed, and my mental health was not in a good place. I didn't do well at my races. I knew I didn't do well at my races, and it hurt me quite a bit. I was really sad about that, but there was just too much going on. I had too much on my plate. And then I got deferred December, like mid-December, and that also it hurt. And I think at this point, I was just in a really, really bad place mentally. I think like the end of December was the lowest I have and will hopefully ever be mentally. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to talk to anyone. Yeah, it was really bad. My most foundational belief is that we get one life, one chance to do what we love. And life is a gift. Life is very precious. And so I never, ever considered taking my life or committing suicide. The thought might have crossed my mind, but I would never, ever. And because of that, I think I just got stuck in this place where like I couldn't go any lower, but I also didn't know how to like get back up. And my parents were not willing to get me a therapist at that point who was not Christian, and they believed that I already had other options that I didn't want to use or choose, some being my relatives, some being Christian therapists, some being a family therapist we had seen in the past, and I just wasn't comfortable. I wanted a non-religious therapist who I hadn't seen in the past, who didn't know me, didn't know my parents, wasn't associated with my family. And so I decided to, I was like, I don't really have any options at this point. So I want to say December 20th, I think I signed up for an online therapist, and I was actually 17 at the time. And I believe this was not legal to do. But I didn't know what else to do. And so I had a session, and basically, I don't remember which medicine it was, but I looked a lot, or I did a little bit of research, and basically there's serotonin and dopamine are the two hormones that like provide happiness and like happy feelings. And I think that dopamine is the one for me that like there are different, serotonin and dopamine are different, obviously, because they're two different hormones, but like when you're depressed, there can be like different types, like, and I think the one for me, I was probably getting more dopamine was the one that I and my doctor concluded would be the best one for me. So I started taking a medication that would basically like try and boost my dopamine levels. And then shortly after that, I told my mom about this, and I was still 17 at the time. And so we went to my general doctor, and she basically said, like, she saw I was not doing well. I was doing terrible, and she could tell, and like she was really, really concerned about me at that time. And so she agreed that it would be okay for me to like be on this medication for like a little bit to try and get better. And so I did that, and I was on it for a bit. Sorry, my phone ran out of storage, so I had to figure out the whole storage thing. We're at 2 hours later. It is now 2:30 in the afternoon, 2:49 to be exact. So I found an actual therapist too and started working with them, and I am now doing a lot better. How does this all relate to the C-, you ask? Or how does this relate to my GPA dropping? So I kind of told you, I dropped out of those 2 classes, and then basically from December 14th, I want to say, until like January, I was in correspondence with the academic college at the U of M that PSEO, post-secondary educational opportunity students, are under. And I just explained the situation, said where I was at, said that I was not in the mental capacity to take the 2 finals at that point, and I feel like it would be a more representative picture of my potential and my abilities to take withdrawals from the course instead of like taking the finals and potentially doing terrible, because I was just not in the right emotional state. And so withdrawals are different from like failing in the sense that they know, your high school knows, and like other colleges know you withdrew from the course, you didn't fail the course. So the U of M has a policy where you can withdraw up until a certain deadline, and then after that deadline you have to get permission from like a college, or from like, you have to get permission from the university to withdraw, basically. So like you're locked in at that point. And I think that point is pretty late in the semester. They're pretty generous with it, but I unfortunately was not doing well at that point after the withdrawal, and I wanted to withdraw. So I emailed them, explained what I wanted to do, and said I wanted to withdraw from chemistry and math. And you get one withdrawal, like you get one that you can use anytime, no questions asked. And so I basically needed like one extra withdrawal to withdraw from all 4 classes. And on my high school transcript, it doesn't affect your GPA. It just goes in there. I don't even know if it shows up on my high school transcript. Actually, it might. It just shows up as a W, and it doesn't affect your GPA. And so at the time, as I said earlier, I was really concerned about my GPA. Like my 4.0 is something that I was very proud of. I worked really hard for that. And to me, it represented like all the hours that freshman Sophia through junior Sophia put into school. And it felt like if I didn't graduate with a 4.0, all of that effort was for nothing, kind of. That's kind of how I felt about it. And now I have a different belief that all the work she put in, all the work I put in over the past 3 years is still valid. It still got me to where I am today. It still like helped me be the person I am, and all of those like grades that I got in those classes are on my transcript. But realistically, the things that I do now, yes, they impact my future, but they don't directly impact my past. Like my past is my past. I need to look at the future, look at where I'm at right now, and say, going forward, what do I want to do, kind of, if that makes any sense. Going back to the whole chemistry and math thing, I got approved for the math withdrawal, but I didn't get approved for the chemistry withdrawal. And they said, we're going to need to confirm that you didn't take the finals. And this was before my chemistry final. And so I didn't take my chemistry final. I got a 0 on the final. I can look it up. But it was a pretty large portion of my grade. So the final was 28.9% of my grade. So basically 30% of my grade, and I got a 0 on it. So, I ended up with a C- in chemistry, and basically they wouldn't take it off my transcript. I emailed them actually last week. I emailed the dean of the college and said, hey, this is my situation. It's the longest email I ever sent. It had all of the communications, it had all of the details, all of the descriptions, everything to back it up. And basically he said, Sophia, thank you for your email and the detailed explanation of events that prompted you to write. I reviewed the information you provided, looked at additional information in your academic record, and consulted with the Scholastic Committee and the PSEO office. Following thorough consideration of all of the available information and in alignment with the university policy regarding late withdrawal from courses, I am upholding the Scholastic Committee's decision to not grant your withdrawal from chem taken during fall semester 2021. And then he left a really nice note that said, from all you have written, it appears that you are highly intelligent and highly motivated. Even though you faced some challenging circumstances last fall, you overcame them and have been accepted into the College of Science and Engineering here at the U of M, a major accomplishment in and of itself. Even though I am sure you hope for a different decision, I believe you have a bright future and that you take advantage of many opportunities in the future. My best wishes as you celebrate your graduation from high school in a few weeks. Go through orientation this summer and begin classes in the fall. I know you would do well. So, basically my C-, it's on my transcript for good. The rest of my grades are A's. And then I have like a couple passes from like gym and economics. I think I have 2 passes. And then the withdrawals. So that's what's on my transcript. I think right now the only reason I have a 3.7 is because it has an NC for math, which is actually a withdrawal that needs to get fixed. And then I have my C-. So my GPA currently is a 3.7. But I think once that's all fixed, it will go to 3.9. And I'm going to go tomorrow to my counselor and get that fixed because I've been meaning to do it, but I felt like I needed to just get this story out there and like kind of express how I've been feeling this past year because I've been thinking about this a lot and I feel like I'm finally through this. But basically, going back to the like, I can't change the past, but the decisions I make now affect the future. Looking forward, and like for my future self, a 3.9 is a good accomplishment, versus a 3.7. I think those are 2 very different GPAs. And like if I have on my LinkedIn profile, for example, like a 3.9 GPA from Armstrong High School, and then I have my transcript on there with all A's and then 1 C-, I think that is a lot different than saying I got a 3.7 in high school, cumulative GPA. Like those are 2 very different things. And getting all A's and 1 C- is not the end of the world. And I know the story. I know why I got that. And that's okay. And I've accepted it. And I think it's just the reality. And sometimes you just have to accept reality and move on. And then the other thing is, like, I don't know what the actual certificate for graduation looks like. Like, do I get an official copy of my transcript with my diploma or how that works? Or if my GPA is printed on there. But still, just for my sake, knowing I got, like, a 3.9 as opposed to a 3.7, I think going forward, like, that will make me feel better, too. So, yeah, that's the whole story. That's the story time of how I went from a 4.0 student to a 3.7 student, and it is also a life update up until basically that point. And obviously a lot has happened this spring. That's a whole nother video and a continuation of videos in the future if you want to see what I'm doing this summer, because it's going to be crazy. But yeah, I just wanted to get this out there. I feel better now already, and if this helps one person or makes them feel okay or helps you feel that you're heard, your mental struggles are valid, and anything you're going through right now is it's hard and you need support, or this helped you at all, I'm hoping that there's at least one person this video impacts. And if that person was me from someone else's video, I would have been really grateful. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday, or whenever you're watching this, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will keep you posted.